Okay, got my next guest on the show now, and it's an absolute honour to have him on the Danny Sun radio show. A bit of a legend, actually. On the line now, the studio hotline, we have Jeremy Healy. Good afternoon, Jeremy.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well. How's yourself?
Good, good. Getting old.
Getting old, getting on a bit, but I'm sure there's still a bit of life left in you yet.
You know, you know that Robbie Williams song?
Oh, yeah, the Old Before I Die.
Is that it right? He says, "You're getting on a bit. Do you leave a dent where you sit?" I thought it was quite funny.
So, Jeremy, you've got quite an extensive CV. We're going to start from the top. You first came to prominence in a band called Haysi Fantaysee.
That's right. You're going to have to be really old to remember that. But yeah, I started that when I was 19 years old. So yeah, we were quite successful in the very early 80s.
Me and my sister, we used to have your song "Shiny Shiny" taped from the radio on the Memorex cassette, and we used to thought the words were China, China, not shiny.
Well, that serves you right, because that's illegal what you just did. That's illegal. You could have bought it, you cheapskates.
Yeah, but we were only 2 or 3 years old at the time. But yeah, China, and it was only when it was recently come back on Top of the Pops on one of the shows that we actually knew it was Shiny Shiny, not China China.
Oh, right, so it came back to hit you about 30 years later, did it?
Yes.
It's very bizarre, actually, just seeing that something that you did such a long time ago, and people, you know, because when we were kids, it was like there was only Top of the Pops, and then it was gone 1 week, just video had just come out then.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you do something and it would disappear, and you never would have dreamt that, you know, it would have lasted 5 years, let alone 30. You know?
Yeah.
It's quite mad.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Singapore a couple of months ago, and I was out with a guy who I was playing at a club there, and I was out with the club owner, and he had his kids who were like 15 and 16, and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna," you know, and he gets on YouTube, bungs up a Haysi Fantaysee video, and they just looked at me like, "That's you," you know, they couldn't believe it, you know.
It's amazing.
It just never disappears. Everything you do is available to everyone at all times of the day now.
Yes, and it's got like an adamant beat to it, hasn't it? Even maybe a bit of Bow Wow Wow vibe to it.
Yeah, we were kind of in the same period of time as that. I had a friend who was the bass player in Adam the Ants. He was my mate at school, and we were really into like Vivian Westwood and Malcolm McLaren and all that. You know, I was into the Sex Pistols when I was 14 and 15. I was really into the Sex Pistols and all that stuff. You know.
And is there or was there an element of truth? You used to send video demos to record companies when you were starting out.
Well, we wanted to. Video had just sort of reared its head. It was before Thriller or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But people had just started to make videos. So obviously it was like a really, you know, we wanted to be on the forefront of that. So we actually, to get our record deal, we actually made our own video, which was, you know, which was kind of revolutionary at the time. It got us a lot of attention, and we got signed very quickly. So, you know, it did work. But yeah, we wanted to be, you know, like a video band. We wanted to be like cartoon, you know, a bit like Gorillaz or something like that. Was kind of, you know, similar idea.
Yeah. And the name Haysi Fantaysee, where did you get the inspiration for that name? Because it's quite.
I don't know. I think I must have been smoking something.
I tell you what, that if you're going to create a great band name which stands out, then that is a name which does it.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember. I just made it up one day, and I said, "Oh, this is it," and they were like, "Okay."
Wonderful.
You know, the other two.
So that was briefly the 80s, and on to 90s, you had considerable success with your collaboration with Amos as part of the collective Healy and Amos. And your song Stamp, I call it a stomper because it's just one which gets everyone dancing in the club. It made it onto Now 35. Did you know that on CD2 track 14? Along with the likes of Living Joy and Faithless in Underworld as well. So you're up there.
Okay. So we're in bad company there, yeah?
Oh, yeah. And another favourite of mine is Argentina as well.
Okay.
And sorry.
Yeah, they were sort of ideas, because I've been working with John Galliano doing fashion shows since the mid-'80s. And I was doing lots of sort of collaging mixes and that's the stamp record was, we actually sampled this Paco Peña, which was is a flamenco dancer, and we sampled his feet on the floor and made that into a beat, which was the idea. It actually came from a fashion show idea, and then we decided to make a record out of it. And the Argentina one was like a tango. Mm-hmm. I was trying to incorporate tango into house music.
Yeah, it worked because it made it onto the best Latino carnival album in the world ever, and that's one of my first ever compilation albums I ever bought. And if you go on, if you go on eBay,
didn't know that.
Yeah, if you go on eBay, the best Latino carnival album in the world is the best Latin album everywhere. It's a wonderful album. You made it on that as well.
Oh, cool.
And do you still see much of Amos?
Well, he lives in LA now, so I don't see as much of him. But when he comes there, or when I go here, I make a point we make a point of hanging out. Yeah, so we're still good friends, although we don't spend a lot of time together because of obviously living in different countries. But yeah, we're still all mates. Yeah,
good stuff. And looking back on the '90s, do you remember much?
Do I remember much? I mean, my only regret is I don't remember it all.
Oh, okay.
It was such that for me was pretty much, I mean, I was on sort of top of the world then, and I was really, I still can't believe I'm still allowed in the music business after all these years. You think you're so conditioned to think that you're going to get 2 or 3 hits, and then somebody, and then nobody will want to hear from you again. So the longevity's been quite amazing. But no, the '90s was quite incredible. But you kind of when everything's rolling for you, you just kind of take it for granted, and that's my only regret. Is you just take it all. You're a bit blasé about it, because there were all these amazing clubs all over the world when you used to get asked to go in, and I'd just walk in and go, yeah, everything's great, And really, I'm much more appreciative now, because there are still great clubs out there, but there are also a lot of, I mean, there are a lot more special, there's fewer and farther between now. So I still enjoy it just as much, but I don't take it for granted in the way that I would have done in the 90s.
Sure. And I'm sure a lot of DJs do fall in that kind of trap of, taking things for granted. But moving on to my next question, looking back at your career, I know you says you may you might have had a regret or two. Is there any part of your career where you wish you'd done something differently, or have you turned down something like a residency in a place or an offer which you've kind of looked back and thought, I wish I'd done?
Well, you can never really say that, because it's easy in hindsight, Yeah, I did turn stuff down that you think maybe, you shouldn't have done and everything. But you've got to do what you feel's right, I mean, I was offered a job at Radio 1, and then they wanted to tell me what records, where I had to fit in amongst everyone else. And I didn't want to do that, So therefore, you get this job that you think, oh yeah, I really want to, it's great, I've got it. And I did think, oh yeah, this is great. But the actual reality of it was quite different, because they want you to position you amongst all the other people and not get out of that little box, So. That didn't work out for me. But then I thought, well, I just said, no, I don't want to do it, And I kind of thought, oh, maybe I should have done. But you've got to do what you feel right, and that's it. And it doesn't really matter if it doesn't feel right. Just do something else,
Of course. And moving on to the noughties now, you also had considerable success. Did you work on a Gwen Stefani song? Was it a mashup of Wind It Up? How was that for you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, Gwen, she's a real Anglophile, and she loved Haysi Fantaysee, and she was like, I met her because her husband, her then husband, was an English guy, and I knew him, Gavin. And so I met her through him, and she was doing a label called Lamb, a fashion label, and she asked me to do. Oh yeah, no, actually I met her at a Dior fashion show. That's right. Sorry, I forgot. And we got on really well, and she's lovely. You know, she's a really good singer as well, like amazingly good singer. And you know, we just hit it off straight away. And she wanted to launch a fashion label, and she asked me to do all the mixes for the catwalk shows. So we did quite a lot of them. We did about 5 or 6 years worth of them. And out of one of them, she sent me a demo that she'd done with Pharrell, she said, you know, she said, "Oh, do you want to have a crack at it?" And I mixed in. Her favourite film is The Sound of Music. Mm-hmm. It's a properly favourite film. Right? So I took a bit from The Sound of Music, the Lonely Goat Herd song, right? And I mixed it in with this track. And I played it to her, and she just burst into tears, and she loved it. She was just like, "I love it." And, you know, it was like a dream come true for her to have, you know, to have a bit of The Sound of Music in her track. So then we played it to Pharrell, and he hated it. but because it was her track, she had sort of dibs on it, and she said, "No, I want to put it out like this." And so we did. So, yeah, and it was, I think that was the number one, yeah.
Sure, awesome. And you also had considerable success DJing in venues in Ibiza, such as Miss Moneypenny's as well.
Yes, that's right. The old Birmingham Miss Moneypenny's, yeah.
And speaking of Birmingham, do you still have connections to Starbridge at all? I know you've made some good friends on the connection scenes in the West Midlands. You've done a few gigs down that neck of the woods?
Yeah, that's right. I did a... Sorry, did you get a bleep then from my phone?
It's all right.
It's a message. I did some gigs at the Swan club and for a little while this year, but I believe it's shut now. So,
yes.
I heard it has.
A lot of venues closing down now, which brings me to my next question. Where do you see the club scene? Do you still see it being alive, or will the nightlife scene still survive? Will it still carry on?
Well, strangely enough, I mean, it's been a really good year. I mean, some of the gigs have been amazing. As I said, it's fewer and farther between. I think people are now. I mean, you get the week. I mean, I still DJ every week, every Saturday. You know, but people are more attracted to sort of. I think what's happening now is sort of daytime. You know, the daytime rave thing is big, because the best party this year was in Ibiza, mm-hmm. in the zoo in Ibiza, and it was like it started at 2 p.m. and finished at midnight, and I can really see those sort of things happening now, which are quite, and I think they will in England in mm-hmm. the summer. Mm-hmm. I think you'll get more stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
We actually just did the print works in South East London, which is about 7,000 people. Went to a couple of weeks ago for Clockwork Orange, and that again was a daytime gig, you know.
So everyone,
I think it's sort of going that way.
Yeah. So everyone will be in bed by 1 o'clock. That's happy days, isn't it? And so that's that cleared up. Clockwork Orange, is that any reference to the Stanley Kubrick film at all, or is it just completely different?
Clockwork Orange is a night that I used to play at. It was a sort of big English night at Es Paradis in San Antonio in Ibiza in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And that was the big night. I mean, they used to get, you know, a good 10,000 people going every week. And I was the resident there. I mean, now they've revived it, and they do something like 6 to 8 shows a year, 8 events, and you know, they're all sold out, and they do really well. People go for the Clockwork Orange Ibiza weekend, and they're going to do a festival next year, which mm-hmm. is Clockwork Orange Festival, a race course, and so they do big events, but they have there are certain DJs, and they're all the DJs from that era, and then basically it's getting bigger and bigger. So I don't. We did Australia last year as well. We took it on tour, which is real fun.
Fantastic. And you're very interactive with your fans as well, which I can't say not many DJs are these days. You've got a great rapport with your fans. You always reply to their messages. I believe, I just think they pay for my bloody lovely life, so I'm very, very grateful to them that they're still interested, Sure. And if you had to take one 12-inch vinyl to a desert island, what would it be?
God. Well, the thing is with music, is you wear it out, don't you? So it would, it probably has to be something really sort of pretentiously, like a classical thing, so because you could listen to it a million times,
sure.
Without, so a pop record. That's what I find difficult nowadays about all the pop records that come out. Like people like Drake. I shouldn't slag people off because they're really popular. But those records have only got one or two or three different instruments on them. So I think after I can't see the longevity in that. I don't know. I can't. There's no depth to the music. It's you hear it. I mean, it's brilliant because you hear it all the first time you hear it. The clarity is amazing. And the minimalness of it, but I just don't know if it's going to last.
Sure. And the Roland 808. What are your opinions on that?
On the what?
On the Roland 808 synthesizer.
What, the drum machine?
Yeah, the drum machine. Yeah.
Well, it's a work of genius. Yeah. The guy who made it was a Japanese guy, wasn't he? He made all the sounds, and I think there's a film about it actually. Yeah, I think there is. Yeah.
Interesting. And
there's a documentary about it. Yeah,
sure,
quite interesting.
And at the moment, there's a documentary on BBC called "Can You Feel It," which is celebrating the
house music,
of the roots of dance music, which is good that it's back in the spotlight. And a few more to wrap
up.
I
think that was made a few years ago actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just a few to wrap up. Do you have any gigs now where people can come and watch you, and any websites or Twitter where people can follow you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Facebook, Jeremy Healy, Healy. I'm actually off to Australia for Christmas. I'm going to do a tour over there and New Year. So, but I think in November I'm around. If you want to look on my website, all the dates are on there. That's the easiest thing because I have one every week.
Sure. So that's Jeremy Healy.
And they're all over England.
Yep. So jeremyhealy.com, and they just follow you on your Facebook page as well.
Lovely.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Jeremy. That's a real great interview, actually, and thanks for filling in what the 80s and 90s were like and the club scene as well. Great stuff.
Thank you very much.
And
okay, guys.
Keep doing what you do, Jeremy, and all the best.
It's too late to stop now.
No, keep carrying on.
Cheers, man.
Take care. All the best.
Okay.